The hidden power of calm. Transform your mind and your heart. Buddhist wisdom. In a world that moves at an ever-accelerating pace, the search for calm has become more than a luxury. It has become a necessity for survival. We are bombarded by constant notifications, endless responsibilities, and the unyielding pressure to achieve and perform. This relentless rhythm often leaves people drained, anxious, and detached from their own sense of self. Yet within the teachings of Buddhism lies a timeless reminder. Beneath the noise of life, there exists a hidden power, calmness. It is not the absence of challenges or the denial of emotion, but rather the cultivation of an inner state where the mind and heart become aligned, resilient, and free. The hidden power of calm has the capacity to transform the way one perceives reality, to heal wounds that cannot be touched by medicine alone, and to awaken a new clarity that reveals meaning where before there was only confusion. The ancient masters understood that calmness is not passivity, it is not resignation or surrender to the chaos of existence. Calmness is an active force, a dynamic stillness that reshapes how we engage with the world. To be calm, in the Buddhist sense, is to be awake, aware and anchored in the present moment, regardless of how turbulent the external circumstances may be. It is a discipline of training the mind to recognize its own patterns, a practice of softening the heart so it may no longer be enslaved by anger, fear or greed. Calmness is an energy that can change the trajectory of a life because it provides the individual with the clarity to choose wisely, the patience to endure suffering, and the compassion to extend kindness, even in the darkest times. The purpose of this exploration is not to romanticize calmness as a distant ideal, but to unveil its hidden power in practical, transformative ways. Through Buddhist wisdom, we are invited to look beyond the surface of emotions and thoughts into the depths where calm resides like an unshaken lake beneath stormy waves. Each topic of this journey will uncover how calmness impacts the mind, the heart, the body, and ultimately the soul. We will learn how to embrace calm not as an occasional visitor in our lives, but as a permanent companion. The transformation is not instantaneous. It is a path, a discipline, a practice of returning again and again to the still point inside us. Yet, with persistence, the rewards are profound. The mind becomes less clouded, the heart less burdened, and the spirit less divided. The following 5 topics will carry us deeper into this transformative power. First, we will explore calmness as the foundation of a liberated mind. Second, we will see how calmness reshapes the heart, softening its wounds and strengthening its compassion. Third, we will look at calmness as a force that changes our relationship with suffering. Fourth, we will reflect on how calmness enhances clarity and wisdom, sharpening our perception of truth. Finally, we will discover how calmness becomes not just a personal refuge, but a gift to the entire world. With each step, the hidden power of calm will reveal itself, not as an abstract philosophy, but as a living wisdom that can be embodied in daily life. Calmness as the foundation of a liberated mind. The human mind is an intricate web of thoughts, emotions, desires, and fears. It leaps from one idea to another, constantly distracted, constantly restless. In Buddhist teachings, this restless quality of the mind is often compared to a monkey, chattering, jumping, pulling our attention in every direction. Without training, the mind becomes a prisoner of its own impulses. It reacts to every stimulus, clings to every desire, resists every discomfort. In this way, the mind becomes enslaved, unable to rest, unable to see clearly. Yet calmness provides the antidote. It lays the foundation for liberation, freeing the mind from its chains and allowing it to experience peace, not dependent on external conditions. When calmness enters the mind, it is as though a storm begins to settle. The clouds of confusion part, and the light of awareness shines through. Calmness does not mean thoughts vanish completely, but it creates space around them. Instead of being dragged by every thought as though it were an unbreakable command, calmness allows the practitioner to observe thoughts as passing events, temporary and insubstantial. This shift from identification to observation is a profound liberation. The mind is no longer the battlefield of conflicting desires, but a spacious field where experiences arise and dissolve without leaving scars. Calmness, then, is not simply the absence of noise. It is the transformation of how noise is received and understood. This foundation of calmness is cultivated through practices such as meditation, mindfulness, and breathing. Each breath becomes an anchor that steadies the wandering mind. Each moment of awareness becomes a reminder that one is not the thought, not the fear, not the desire. Slowly, the restless monkey mind begins to settle, learning that it no longer needs to leap from branch to branch. In this stillness, clarity emerges. Decisions become less clouded by impulses, and reactions give way to responses that are thoughtful, compassionate, and wise. The mind, once enslaved by its own chaos, now tastes the freedom of spacious awareness. The liberation brought by calmness is not only philosophical, but deeply practical. In daily life, a calm mind is less reactive to insults, less panicked by uncertainty, and less consumed by regret. For example, when faced with a stressful situation, perhaps a sudden conflict at work or an unexpected financial challenge, the untrained mind rushes into fear, anger, or despair, but a calm mind pauses. It breathes. It sees the situation for what it is without magnifying it into catastrophe. This pause is not weakness. It is power. It allows a person to act with intention rather than reaction. In this way, calmness becomes the root of wisdom, the foundation upon which a liberated life is built. Furthermore, calmness reveals to the mind its true nature. Beneath the surface agitation, beneath the endless stream of thoughts, lies a consciousness that is vast, luminous, and unshaken. Buddhist wisdom teaches that the mind, when fully calm, reflects reality like a clear mirror, showing things as they are, without distortion. In calmness, illusions lose their grip, and the individual begins to experience life as it truly is. This is liberation, not escape from life, but awakening to its authentic essence. The hidden power of calm then begins with the mind. It frees us from slavery to thought and emotion, grounding us in awareness and allowing clarity to guide our lives. To cultivate this power is to step into freedom, to no longer be carried away by the currents of restlessness. It is to realize that calmness is not something given by the world. It is something grown within, a strength that no storm can shake. And before we continue to the next part of this journey, I invite you, if you find value in these teachings, if you want to keep walking this path of wisdom together, take a moment now to subscribe to the channel. By doing so, you not only support this work, but also ensure that you will continue to receive the guidance and inspiration that can help transform your own mind and heart through the hidden power of calm. The healing of the heart through calmness. The mind may be the starting point of liberation, but it is within the heart that the deepest transformations occur when one discovers the hidden power of calm. The human heart is not simply an organ that pumps life through the body. It is also a vast space of emotions, memories, attachments, and wounds that shape the entire experience of existence. Many people live with hearts burdened by pain they cannot articulate, by grief that time has not healed, by resentments that resurface like shadows in the night, by fears that keep them from embracing life in its fullness. In the Buddhist view, the heart is both the seat of suffering and the wellspring of compassion, and it is calmness that determines whether the heart remains imprisoned by its wounds or liberated into its true nature of love. Calmness does not erase suffering, but it softens the tightness around it. It does not deny the weight of grief, but it allows grief to flow through without drowning the self. It does not suppress anger, but it disarms it by transforming it into understanding. In this way, calmness heals the heart, and in doing so, it transforms the way a person relates to themselves, to others, and to the world. When we look closely, much of the heart's pain arises not from what has happened, but from the stories we attach to those events. A betrayal is not only the act itself, but also the echo of thoughts repeating, "I was not worthy of love." A loss is not only the absence of someone dear, but the endless replaying of, "I cannot live without them." The heart suffers because it holds tightly to these stories, clutching them like chains. Calmness enters as a gentle presence, teaching the heart that it does not need to clutch. It teaches that even when pain arises, the heart has the capacity to hold it without collapsing. In meditation practices, especially those rooted in loving kindness and compassion, the heart is trained to rest in calm awareness. The practitioner silently repeats phrases such as, "May I be safe, may I be peaceful." "May I live with ease." At first, the mind resists, dismissing these words as hollow, but as the practice deepens, the calm repetition seeps into the heart, soothing it, loosening its chains, and reminding it that it deserves peace. Calmness heals because it gives the heart space. In the frantic pace of modern life, emotions are rarely given this space. Anger explodes, sadness is buried, fear is denied. The heart is asked to carry too much without being listened to. But when calmness is cultivated, the heart is invited to breathe. In this breathing, the wounds are not erased, but they are touched with gentleness. Imagine a child crying in fear. If that child is ignored, the fear deepens. If that child is scolded, the fear turns into shame. But if that child is held in calm arms, their sobbing gradually softens. The heart is that child, and calmness is the embrace that allows it to rest. Many people never experience this embrace from within themselves. They depend on others to provide it. Yet the Buddhist path reveals that calmness is always available within, a resource that can cradle the heart whenever it trembles. The transformative nature of calmness in the heart becomes most visible in relationships. A heart without calm is reactive. It clings, it lashes out, it demands, it manipulates, it fears abandonment, so it suffocates. It fears rejection, so it attacks. It fears vulnerability, so it hides behind masks of pride or indifference. These behaviors, though often unconscious, perpetuate suffering not only within the self, but also in others. But when the heart begins to taste calmness, the quality of relationships changes. Calmness gives space for listening without judgment, for loving without possession, for forgiving without resentment. A calm heart is no longer desperate for validation because it has discovered its own stability. This inner stability allows the individual to engage with others not from a place of neediness, but from a place of generosity. Calmness does not mean indifference. Rather, it means the capacity to love more deeply because the heart is no longer bound by fear. Consider the example of anger. Anger is often described as fire, burning both the one who holds it and the one it is directed against. A heart dominated by anger is restless, easily triggered, quick to destroy. Calmness does not suppress anger, but it cools the fire. When anger arises, a calm heart recognizes it, breathes with it, and allows it to dissolve before it turns into harmful action. Buddhist teachers often emphasize the pause that calmness provides. Between stimulus and response, there is a space. In that space, one chooses whether to fuel the anger or to release it. Calmness widens this space, giving the heart the wisdom to choose peace over destruction. Over time, this practice transforms the very tendency of the heart, making anger less frequent, less intense, and less consuming. Calmness also reshapes grief. Loss is inevitable. Relationships end, loved ones die, dreams fade. The heart, when confronted with loss, feels as though it has been shattered. Many believe that grief will destroy them, that they cannot survive without what was taken. But calmness whispers another truth, that the heart can hold grief without breaking. In meditation on impermanence, practitioners reflect on the transitory nature of all things. This reflection does not diminish love, but deepens it, reminding us that because everything is fleeting, every moment is precious. Calmness gives the heart permission to grieve fully without being consumed. It teaches the heart that love does not vanish with death, that connection is not severed by absence, and that even in loss, peace is possible. In this way, calmness does not numb the heart. It awakens it to a more spacious love that can embrace both joy and sorrow. Fear, too, finds its transformation in calmness. Fear is one of the most pervasive emotions, shaping decisions, limiting potential, and suffocating freedom. The heart plagued by fear contracts, closing itself off from possibility. Calmness, however, acts as an antidote to fear. Through practices of mindful breathing, the heart learns that in this present moment there is safety. Fear is almost always a projection into the future, an imagination of what could go wrong. Calmness anchors the heart in the now, where fear cannot dominate. Over time, the heart learns that it does not need to be enslaved by imagined dangers. Instead, it discovers courage, not the absence of fear, but the ability to move forward even with fear present. Calmness gives the heart this courage, steadying it with the assurance that whatever arises, it can be met with peace. The healing power of calmness also extends to the body through the heart. Science now confirms what ancient wisdom has long taught. Emotions affect the body profoundly. Stress tightens muscles, raises blood pressure, and weakens the immune system. Chronic anger or grief damages the very rhythm of the heart. Calmness, on the other hand, restores balance. When the heart rests in calm, the body responds. Breathing slows, the nervous system relaxes, the immune system strengthens. This is why Buddhist meditation is not only a spiritual practice, but also a medicine for the body. A calm heart is a healing heart, and as the heart heals, the entire being benefits. The hidden power of calm in the heart also lies in its ability to transform pain into compassion. When the heart learns to rest calmly with its own suffering, it begins to recognize the suffering of others. It sees that others too carry grief, anger, and fear. This recognition is not merely intellectual, it is felt deeply. Calmness softens the walls of self-centeredness and awakens the heart to connection. The individual realizes that healing is not only for oneself, but for all beings. Thus, the calm heart naturally extends kindness, naturally forgives, naturally gives. This compassion is not forced, but flows effortlessly, because calmness has dissolved the barriers that once kept the heart contracted. To live with a calm heart is to live in freedom. It is to no longer be enslaved by emotional storms, but to navigate them with grace. It is to meet others not with judgment, but with understanding. It is to carry wounds not as weights, but as teachers. The calm heart is strong not because it avoids pain, but because it embraces it with wisdom. This strength is the hidden power that transforms not only the individual, but the world around them. A calm heart radiates peace, influencing everyone it encounters. In this way, calmness in the heart is not only a personal blessing, but a gift to humanity. The journey of calming the heart is lifelong. It requires patience, discipline, and courage. There will be times when the heart trembles again, when anger flares, when grief overwhelms, when fear returns. But each time, calmness offers a hand, guiding the heart back to peace. The more this path is walked, the more natural it becomes. Eventually, calmness ceases to be something one practices only in meditation. It becomes the very rhythm of the heart. And when that happens, the transformation is complete. The heart becomes a sanctuary where suffering is met with compassion, where love flows without fear, and where peace reigns even in the midst of chaos. This is the hidden power of calm in the heart. It heals, it transforms, it liberates. And as you continue walking this path, remember that your own calm heart has the power to touch others, to inspire them, to remind them that peace is possible. And now, before we move into the next topic, I invite you once more, if you feel these words resonate with your journey, if you wish to keep receiving teachings that nurture both your mind and heart, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel. By subscribing, you help this message of calm and compassion reach more people, and you ensure that you remain connected to this community of wisdom seekers. Calmness and the transformation of suffering. Suffering is the unavoidable thread woven through the fabric of human existence. No matter one's background, wealth, or status, no one escapes the encounters with pain, loss, disappointment, and impermanence. The Buddha's very first teaching after his awakening was the Four Noble Truths, and at the core of that teaching is the recognition that life inevitably includes suffering. This acknowledgement is not meant to depress or discourage, but to bring clarity. Only by seeing suffering for what it is can one begin the journey of liberation. And yet, when most people hear the word suffering, they recoil, wishing to push it away, deny it, or numb themselves from its sting. Entire industries have been built on distractions to keep people from facing suffering, entertainment, consumerism, endless stimulation. But the suffering does not disappear. It only waits beneath the surface, ready to re-emerge with greater force. The hidden power of calm is that it does not run from suffering, nor does it drown in it. Calmness transforms suffering into a teacher, into a doorway toward wisdom, into a force that deepens compassion and awakens the heart. The instinctive reaction to suffering is resistance. When pain arises, the mind cries out, "This should not be happening." When loss strikes, the heart insists, "This is unbearable." When uncertainty looms, fear takes hold and invents countless scenarios of catastrophe. This resistance multiplies suffering. The initial pain may be real, a broken relationship, a lost job, a failing health, but the mind and heart magnify it with stories, projections, and judgments. The Buddha used the metaphor of the two arrows. The first arrow is the unavoidable pain that comes with life. The second arrow is self-inflicted, the anger, the bitterness, the endless questioning of why me? Calmness is what removes the second arrow. It meets suffering as it is, without adding layers of resistance. In doing so, calmness transforms suffering from a prison into a path. Imagine someone experiencing a deep, personal loss, such as the death of a loved one. The pain is real and cannot be denied. But when the heart is calm, grief is allowed to flow like a river. Tears fall without shame. Memories rise without judgment. Love is honored without clinging. The calm heart does not push grief away, nor grasp it desperately. It allows grief to be what it is, a natural response to love and impermanence. Over time, grief softens into gratitude, pain transforms into wisdom, and suffering becomes the soil from which compassion grows. Without calmness, grief festers into despair. With calmness, grief opens the door to a deeper understanding of life's fragility and beauty. Calmness also changes the relationship with physical pain. The body is subject to illness, injury, and aging, and these bring inevitable discomfort. Most people, when faced with pain, tighten their bodies and resist, amplifying the experience. Calmness teaches the art of softening. In mindfulness meditation, practitioners are often guided to bring calm awareness to painful sensations without labeling them as good or bad. They are taught to breathe into the pain, to explore it, to notice its texture, temperature, and rhythm. This calm observation often reduces the intensity of pain, not because the body magically heals in that moment, but because the mind no longer fights against it. The suffering lessens because the resistance dissolves. Remarkably, scientific studies now confirm that meditation practices rooted in calm awareness reduce chronic pain and improve quality of life. Thus, calmness does not deny suffering, but changes its impact. Another way calmness transforms suffering is by revealing its universality. When one suffers without calm, the pain feels isolating, as though no one else could understand. But calm awareness expands perspective. It shows that suffering is not personal, but shared. Everyone experiences loss, illness, aging, fear, and disappointment. This realization, born of calm reflection, erodes the walls of isolation and awakens compassion. Instead of thinking, "Why me?" the calm heart begins to think, "This is part of being human, and others too are walking this same path." This recognition dissolves self-pity and opens the heart to connection. In this way, calmness turns suffering into a bridge rather than a barrier. One of the most profound teachings of Buddhism is that suffering itself can be the gateway to enlightenment. The very experiences that feel unbearable are also those that strip away illusions and awaken the deepest truths. Calmness is what allows one to see suffering in this way. Without calmness, suffering crushes. With calmness, suffering awakens. Consider the story of the Buddha himself. Sheltered in luxury as a young prince, he was shielded from suffering. But upon seeing sickness, old age, and death, he was shaken into awareness of life's impermanence. Instead of fleeing back into distraction, he faced suffering directly, and through calm and disciplined practice, attained liberation. In our own lives, calmness gives us the courage to look at suffering instead of running away. In doing so, we begin to see the truths that suffering reveals. Everything changes. Clinging creates pain, and compassion is the only response that heals. Calmness also transforms suffering by cultivating patience. Much of suffering arises not only from pain itself, but from the demand that pain should end immediately. We resist the slow unfolding of healing, the gradual nature of growth, the long journey of transformation. But calmness slows the mind, teaching it to rest in each moment. This patience is not resignation, it is strength. It says, "I can be here with this, even if it is uncomfortable." With this patience, suffering loses its power to overwhelm. The practitioner learns to breathe through moments of difficulty, trusting that everything, even suffering, is impermanent. The storm will pass, and in the meantime, calmness provides shelter. Furthermore, calmness reveals the hidden treasures within suffering. Often, what seems like pure misfortune becomes the catalyst for growth, awakening strengths and insights that would never have emerged otherwise. Many people can look back on times of suffering and recognize that those were the very experiences that shaped their character, deepened their empathy, and clarified their priorities. But this recognition is only possible when calmness allows reflection. Without calmness, suffering is experienced as chaos. With calmness, suffering becomes meaningful. It teaches resilience, humility, compassion, and wisdom. In this way, calmness alchemizes suffering into gold. There is also the collective dimension of suffering, which calmness can transform. Wars, injustice, poverty, and environmental destruction weigh heavily on humanity. When confronted with such vast suffering, the uncalm mind either collapses into despair or turns away in denial. Calmness, however, provides the stability to face these realities without being crushed. A calm heart sees clearly, acknowledges suffering, and responds with compassion rather than despair. This is why great leaders and teachers who carried immense burdens were often described as calm. Their calmness did not mean indifference. It meant they could face the suffering of the world without being consumed, allowing them to act with wisdom and courage. On a personal level, calmness also transforms suffering in relationships. Misunderstandings, betrayals, and conflicts are inevitable, but calmness allows one to meet them differently. Instead of reacting with anger or defensiveness, a calm heart listens, seeks to understand, and responds with kindness. This does not mean tolerating abuse or denying pain, but it does mean choosing not to multiply suffering through retaliation. In this way, calmness breaks cycles of harm, allowing healing and reconciliation to become possible. Even when reconciliation is not possible, calmness ensures that one's own heart remains unpoisoned. Ultimately, calmness transforms suffering by revealing its impermanence. In the midst of pain, it often feels as though it will last forever. The heart cries, "I will never heal." The mind insists, "This will always hurt." Calmness counters these illusions by anchoring us in the present. Each breath, each moment of awareness shows that experience is constantly shifting. The pain of one moment is not identical to the next. Even suffering has gaps, moments of ease, spaces of peace. Calmness trains the awareness to notice these spaces, to recognize that nothing, not even suffering, is permanent. This recognition gives hope and strength to endure, knowing that all things change. Thus, calmness does not eliminate suffering, but it changes its nature. It transforms it from an enemy into a teacher, from a prison into a path, from a weight into a catalyst for awakening. With calmness, suffering becomes meaningful, bearable, and even transformative. This is the hidden power of calm. It allows the deepest wounds to become sources of compassion, the darkest nights to reveal the brightest stars, and the greatest challenges to birth the greatest wisdom. And as we walk this path together, learning to face suffering with calmness and transform it into strength, I invite you once again. If these teachings are touching your heart and guiding your journey, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel. Your support allows this wisdom to continue reaching others, and it ensures that you remain connected to this flow of calm and compassion that can guide you through life's inevitable storms. Calmness as the gateway to clarity and wisdom. Clarity is one of the rarest treasures in human life. People often believe they see the world as it is, but in truth, most of what they see is filtered through layers of conditioning, fear, desire, prejudice, and habit. The mind, when agitated, functions like a turbulent river, churning up mud so that nothing beneath the surface can be perceived. In such a state, decisions are clouded, relationships are distorted, and reality itself becomes obscured. Wisdom, which depends on clear perception, cannot arise in such conditions. This is why Buddhist wisdom has always emphasized calmness as the foundation, not only for peace, but also for insight. Calmness is not merely a pleasant state of rest, it is the stillness that allows the truth to reveal itself. Just as a clear mirror reflects accurately, a calm mind reflects reality without distortion. Calmness is the gateway through which clarity and wisdom enter. In the absence of calm, confusion reigns. Consider how the mind behaves when it is anxious. Every possibility of disaster is magnified. Every uncertainty is turned into a threat. Every minor setback is interpreted as catastrophe. The mind spins, chasing its own tail, unable to distinguish between reality and projection. Decisions made in such a state often lead to regret because they are based on distorted perceptions rather than truth. The same occurs with anger, desire, or pride. Emotions dominate the lens through which reality is seen and clarity is lost. Calmness interrupts this cycle. By slowing the breath, softening the body and resting the mind, calmness creates space between perception and interpretation. It allows one to see events as they are, rather than as the agitated mind imagines them to be. In this space, clarity arises naturally. Calmness also protects against the illusions created by desire. Desire is powerful because it paints fantasies of happiness onto objects, people, or outcomes. The restless mind believes that if it acquires this possession, wins this approval, or achieves this goal, then happiness will be secured. But the moment one desire is fulfilled, another arises. This cycle blinds the individual to the truth of impermanence. Calmness steps into this cycle like a lantern in the dark. It allows one to pause and ask, is this desire real, or is it a projection of my restlessness? Often, with calm reflection, it becomes clear that what seemed essential is in fact fleeting, that what seemed urgent is in fact trivial. In this way, calmness exposes the illusions of desire, giving clarity about what truly matters. This clarity is not only intellectual but experiential. In meditation, when the mind grows calm, awareness expands. Subtle details once overlooked become visible. The sound of the wind, the rhythm of the breath, the sensations in the body, all appear with vividness and precision. More importantly, the impermanent nature of these experiences becomes undeniable. A sound arises and fades. A thought appears and dissolves. A sensation shifts from pleasant to neutral to unpleasant and back again. Calm awareness reveals this constant flux. From this clarity, wisdom emerges. Nothing is permanent, nothing is worth clinging to. Everything is interdependent. These are not abstract doctrines, but lived realities, seen directly when the mind is calm. Wisdom, in the Buddhist tradition, is not merely knowledge or accumulation of facts. It is insight into the true nature of existence, impermanence, suffering, and non-self. These insights cannot be forced by willpower or attained through restless searching. They arise when the mind is calm enough to see without distortion. For example, impermanence is not just an idea to be believed, it is an experience to be witnessed in every moment, but only a calm mind has the steadiness to observe it. Similarly, the illusion of a permanent self dissolves not through philosophical debate, but through calm awareness that notices how thoughts, emotions, and sensations arise and pass without any fixed owner. Calmness provides the stability that allows these profound truths to be seen. Without calmness, the mind is too agitated to look deeply. Clarity born of calmness also transforms relationships. Misunderstandings and conflicts often arise not from malice, but from misperception. When agitated, the mind projects motives onto others, assumes intentions that may not exist, and interprets words through the filter of fear or pride. Calmness allows one to listen more fully, to hear not only the words but also the silence behind them, to perceive the suffering or longing that may lie beneath anger or harshness. With this clarity, wisdom guides interactions, leading to compassion instead of retaliation, understanding instead of judgment. A calm mind does not rush to conclusions. It pauses, reflects, and sees more deeply. This clarity prevents countless conflicts and heals relationships that agitation would have destroyed. Another dimension of clarity that arises from calmness is the ability to discern priorities. In the modern world, distractions are endless. Opportunities, obligations, and desires compete for attention, leaving people scattered and exhausted. Without calmness, it is easy to chase trivial pursuits while neglecting what truly matters. But calm reflection shines a light on what is essential. In moments of stillness, one sees clearly that certain pursuits are driven by ego or fear, while others align with genuine values and deeper purpose. Calmness gives the wisdom to choose wisely, to direct energy not toward endless busyness, but toward meaningful action. Many who practice meditation report that calmness helps them cut through the noise of life and focus on what aligns with their authentic self. In this way, calmness becomes a compass for a meaningful life. Clarity also reveals itself in times of crisis. When chaos erupts, whether in the form of sudden loss, danger, or uncertainty, most people react impulsively, driven by fear. In such moments, calmness is the difference between survival and destruction, between wise action and panic. A calm mind sees options that an agitated mind overlooks. It notices the bigger picture, weighs consequences, and acts with intention. Stories abound of individuals who, in moments of crisis, saved lives or made wise decisions because they remained calm while others panicked. This calmness is not accidental. It is cultivated through practice. By training the mind to rest in calmness daily, one prepares for the storms of life so that when they arrive, clarity is available. Furthermore, calmness allows one to distinguish truth from illusion, especially in an age where misinformation and manipulation are rampant. When agitated, the mind clings to narratives that confirm fears or desires. It is easily swayed by appearances, unable to question or investigate deeply. But a calm mind is not so easily deceived. It observes, reflects, and sees beyond surface impressions. It asks, is this true? What lies beneath? What is the evidence? Calmness fosters critical wisdom, not by hardening skepticism, but by softening reactivity. This is why spiritual traditions have long emphasized that true discernment arises not from cleverness, but from calmness. The wise are not those who know everything, but those who see clearly because they are not blinded by agitation. In the journey toward clarity and wisdom, calmness also reveals the interconnectedness of all things. When the mind is restless, it perceives the world as fragmented, self versus other, gain versus loss, success versus failure. But calm awareness perceives patterns of interdependence. It sees how one's actions affect others, how personal well-being is tied to the well-being of the whole, how nothing exists in isolation. This insight transforms how one lives. The calm mind recognizes that harming others is ultimately harming oneself, and helping others is helping oneself. Such wisdom cannot be forced by moral rules. It arises naturally when calmness clears the lens of perception. Calmness also nurtures intuitive wisdom. While logic and analysis are valuable, they are limited. Many of life's most important decisions cannot be calculated by reason alone. They require a deeper knowing, an intuition that arises from the silence of the calm heart. This intuition is not guesswork, but a subtle clarity that perceives truth beyond words. Many people report that their best insights, their most creative ideas, and their wisest decisions arose not in moments of frantic thought, but in moments of calm stillness. The calm mind, like a quiet pond, reflects inspiration from the depths of consciousness. This is why practices of calmness are often linked to creativity and innovation, as well as spiritual wisdom. The hidden power of calm, as the gateway to clarity and wisdom, also lies in its ability to reveal the emptiness of illusions. The restless mind constructs endless stories about who we are, what others think, what the future holds. These stories often bring anxiety and suffering, but when the mind grows calm, the stories lose their grip. One begins to see them as passing clouds, not ultimate truths. This recognition is liberating. It frees one from being trapped in narratives of inadequacy, fear, or pride. Wisdom arises when one can say, "This is just a thought, not reality." With such clarity, the self is no longer enslaved by its own mental fabrications. Ultimately, calmness leads to the deepest wisdom, the realization of non-self. In the stillness of calm meditation, when thoughts settle and identification loosens, one begins to see that what we call self is only a collection of processes, thoughts, sensations, perceptions that arise and pass. There is no permanent entity behind them. This realization, far from being frightening, is profoundly liberating. It dissolves the fear of death, the clinging to ego, and the endless struggle to defend a fragile identity. Calmness makes this realization possible by creating the stability needed to observe without fear. In this way, calmness opens the door to ultimate wisdom, the awakening the Buddha described as liberation from suffering. Therefore, calmness is not a passive state, but an active force of transformation. It clears the mud of confusion, reveals the truth of impermanence, exposes the illusions of desire, deepens relationships through understanding, strengthens resilience in crisis, nurtures intuition, and awakens ultimate wisdom. Clarity and wisdom are not separate gifts bestowed from outside. They are natural qualities of the mind and heart that emerge when calmness removes the obstacles. The hidden power of calm is that it does not add anything new. It simply reveals what has always been present, the luminous clarity of awareness and the wisdom that sees things as they are. And so, as we continue this journey into the hidden power of calm, I invite you once again, if you find these reflections opening space in your own mind and heart, if you wish to keep walking this path of clarity and wisdom, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel. By subscribing, you ensure that you remain connected to teachings that nourish the calm within you and allow the wisdom already inside you to flourish. Together, we can cultivate the clarity that the world so desperately needs. Calmness as a gift to the world. Calmness, when cultivated and embodied, is not confined to the individual. Its radiance extends outward, touching families, communities, and eventually the whole of humanity. Just as one candle can ignite another without losing its flame, the calm presence of one person can awaken calmness in those around them. In this way, the hidden power of calm transcends personal well-being and becomes a profound offering to the world. A calm person becomes a living refuge, a reminder that peace is possible even in the midst of chaos, a testimony that suffering does not have to dominate life. This is not a romantic ideal, but a lived truth. Calmness is contagious. When embodied, it silently shifts the atmosphere of any space, influencing others without words, without force, simply by being. To understand how calmness becomes a gift to the world, we must first see how the absence of calm generates collective suffering. When individuals are agitated, fearful, or consumed by anger, they spread that energy outward. An anxious parent transfers worry to children. A fearful leader enacts policies that harm entire nations. An angry person lashes out, perpetuating cycles of violence. The turbulence of the individual becomes the turbulence of the collective. Wars are fueled by countless uncalm hearts, each projecting fear and hostility onto the other. Injustice grows when hearts lack the calmness to perceive the humanity of those they exploit. Environmental destruction accelerates when restless desire overrides calm wisdom. The personal is never separate from the global. Every uncalm mind adds to the storm of the world. Yet the reverse is also true. A calm heart contributes peace to the collective. The presence of a calm teacher can transform a classroom. A calm nurse can comfort a frightened patient. A calm mediator can resolve conflicts that anger would escalate. A calm leader can steer a community through crisis with wisdom instead of panic. These examples may seem small, but their impact is profound. Just as ripples expand across a lake, the calm presence of one person expands outward, influencing circles far beyond what can be measured. The world is desperate for such presence. In a time when agitation is normalized, when distraction is celebrated, when outrage dominates public discourse, the silent gift of calmness stands out as revolutionary. One of the most profound ways calmness benefits the world is by breaking cycles of reactivity. When insulted, most people react with anger. When attacked, they retaliate. When afraid, they project hostility. This cycle perpetuates suffering across generations. But when one person meets insult with calmness, the cycle breaks. The aggression dissolves in the face of non-reactivity. This does not mean passivity or allowing injustice to prevail, but rather responding with clarity and compassion instead of blind reaction. Gandhi, Martin Luther King, Jr. And the Buddha himself are examples of how calmness becomes a force of transformation. Their calm presence in the face of hostility did not weaken their movements. It gave them power. It showed the world another way, a way where calmness disarms violence, where peace triumphs over fear, where compassion replaces hatred. Calmness as a gift to the world also manifests in the realm of listening. So much conflict persists because people are not truly heard. Agitation rushes conversations, interrupts, judges, and assumes. Calmness, however, listens fully. It creates space where another person can express themselves without fear of judgment. This simple act of calm listening has healed marriages, reconciled enemies, and softened hardened hearts. The gift of calm presence communicates, you matter, your pain is seen, your humanity is recognized. In this way, calmness becomes an instrument of justice, because justice requires not only fairness of law, but also recognition of dignity. A world filled with calm listeners would be a world where understanding blossoms and conflict diminishes. Moreover, calmness inspires others by example. People may not remember every word you speak, but they never forget how your presence made them feel. A calm person in the midst of chaos communicates without words. Peace is possible. And in workplaces, such individuals become anchors that steady entire teams. In families, they become the roots that hold everything together. In friendships, they become the safe space where vulnerability is welcomed. This inspiration spreads, encouraging others to cultivate their own calmness. In this way, calmness is not only given but multiplied. The calm of one becomes the calm of many. Calmness also offers a collective wisdom that the world urgently needs. The greatest crises of our time, climate change, inequality, violence, are not simply technical problems, but problems of consciousness. They are symptoms of greed, fear, and ignorance dominating human decisions. Calmness, by contrast, cultivates the clarity to see long-term consequences, the compassion to care for others, and the courage to act wisely. Imagine leaders making decisions not from agitation or desire for power, but from calm awareness of interdependence. Imagine communities responding to challenges not with panic, but with calm collaboration. The solutions would not only be more just, but also more sustainable, because they would arise from wisdom rather than reactivity. Calmness, then, is not only a personal virtue, but a political necessity, a global medicine. Even in moments of great suffering, calmness provides a light for others. Think of the calm nurse holding the hand of a dying patient, the calm friend sitting quietly with someone in grief, the calm activist standing peacefully in the face of violence. Their calm presence does not erase the suffering, but it makes it bearable. It communicates, "You are not alone. Peace is possible even here." In this way, calmness restores dignity in situations where despair threatens to overwhelm. It is a gift more precious than wealth, more healing than words. It is the silent medicine that touches wounds too deep for language. Calmness is also a gift to future generations. Children absorb the states of adults around them. A child raised in an environment of agitation internalizes fear and restlessness. A child raised in the presence of calm learns stability, resilience, and compassion. In this way, every act of calmness is an act of planting seeds for the future. Parents who cultivate calmness not only heal themselves, but also gift their children a foundation of peace. Teachers who embody calmness shape not only the knowledge, but the character of their students. Leaders who practice calmness create cultures where wisdom can flourish. The legacy of calmness extends far beyond one lifetime. It shapes the consciousness of generations to come. Calmness as a gift to the world is not dependent on grand gestures. It is expressed in the simplest acts: the calm driver who does not react aggressively in traffic, preventing escalation; the calm neighbor who diffuses conflict instead of fueling gossip; the calm colleague who listens when others compete to speak; the calm stranger who offers a smile when someone feels invisible. These small acts ripple outward, influencing others in ways that may never be known. The world is changed not only by dramatic revolutions, but by the countless small contributions of calm presence that make daily life more humane. At the deepest level, calmness is a gift to the world because it reminds humanity of its true nature. Beneath the noise of politics, the storms of conflict, and the illusions of greed, there is a universal longing for peace. Every human being, regardless of culture, race, or religion, desires calmness. It is the common ground where all differences dissolve. When one person embodies calmness, they awaken this recognition in others. This is what I've been longing for. This is who I truly am beneath the noise. In this way, calmness is not only a personal practice, but a collective awakening. It points humanity back to itself, back to the truth that peace is possible, that wisdom is available, that love is our deepest nature. This gift does not require perfection. No one is calm all the time. Anger, fear, and restlessness will continue to arise, but each act of returning to calm, each moment of choosing peace over agitation, contributes to the healing of the world. Just as drops of water create a river, the small acts of calmness from countless individuals create a tide that can transform humanity. The Buddha once said that hatred is never conquered by hatred, but only by love. In the same way, the storms of the world will never be calmed by more storms. They can only be calmed by calmness itself, embodied and shared, one person at a time. Thus, calmness, cultivated in the depths of the individual, becomes an offering to the collective. It heals families, reconciles communities, guides nations, and inspires future generations. It is the hidden power that the world most needs, especially in times of division and uncertainty. To practice calmness is not selfish. It is the most generous gift one can give. For in calming oneself, one calms the world. And so as we conclude this journey into the hidden power of calm, I invite you once more. If you feel these teachings resonate in your heart, if you wish to join in spreading calmness as a gift to others, please take a moment to subscribe to the channel. By subscribing, you support not only your own journey, but also the ripple of peace that can extend across the world. Together, we can embody the calmness that heals, the calmness that clarifies, and the calmness that transforms both ourselves and all of humanity.